Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer, the ninth generation of consoles. How are you going to remember them? Guys, I wrote this article, and I also made a members only video that is going to dive deeper into this. It's about 20 minutes. But I wanted to touch on this on the channel really quick. As I was making that video for the members, I was thinking, these are things that I should touch on the channel. And, how are you going to remember this generation? How are you going to remember this ninth generation of consoles? And me in specific, I have to say that I feel like they overpromised and underdelivered, right? And in this article, I break it down. By the way, this article is free, guys. All you have to do is go to Substack, sign up, and, you can, read everything here. And a lot of it is just deeper dives into what I talk about on the channel. Or sometimes there's articles that never make it onto the channel. It's just something that I write when I have time. I'm pretty busy, and sometimes all I have, all I have to at some point during the day, I can't really use my phone or anything. So I'm sitting there in my laptop waiting, and I try to bang these out. And I have the Grammarly AI, rearrange stuff for me so it makes sense, and then I publish it. And this is one that as I was writing it, I was thinking about my experience, sharing it with you guys and what has been your experience with this ninth generation of consoles. And I feel that they overpromised, underdelivered, because there's very few titles that we can think about, go, man, I really, I got my money's worth by playing X, Y, or Z, right? What games do I remember fondly from this generation so far? I can tell you there's been two. Right, the two that stand out the most for me are Death Stranding 2 and Helldivers 2. Now notice the two on both titles, right? For you it might be different, right? But I think we're very hard pressed to say whether it's the Xbox or the PlayStation to say, look, these are 10 titles that are exclusive to this platform that I needed to play, which is very different from, say, the PlayStation 3. Look at this, guys. Persona 5 was on the PlayStation 3. This is how I played it. I played it on my PlayStation 3 simply because it was out there and I wanted an experience. I also played it on the PS4, but I experienced that way. But you would have, games that were so diverse. Look at this. Bulletstorm. All right, Bulletstorm. Just different types of games. Crysis 3. Here, I just can go down the line. Dead Space. Oh, here we go. What about this? Dark Souls. That's just in PlayStation 3. The breadth of games that we got, and even Xbox. Look at this. 50 cent. 50 cent. And that's a seventh generation. I mean, we can go game by game by game on the seventh generation of great games in that era, right? In that generation. We can't do this for this. We can't do it for the ninth generation. And if you remember, they promised so much, but at the end, it was a generation that was obsessed with the past, right? Remakes, remasters, reboots. Just read you the cliff notes here, a quicker version of the video. Again, if you want a deep dive, you can go to the member section and look at the 20-minute video. Where they're just really repackaging nostalgia, right? That's what they're doing. And higher prices. What are we remembering of this generation? Higher prices? Games cost more, consoles cost more, accessories cost more. And that's without talking about the microtransactions, cosmetic pass, battle passes, everything that right now is driving the industry. It's all about money and very little about the experience, right? The business model has changed. And a lot of it, as we've said before, it has been chasing this fantasy, this dream that a lot of companies have that they're going to make the next Fortnite. And because of this, you have failures like Concord and others, right? Ubisoft have their shooter over there. It went to trash. And it's crazy. It's crazy, right? There's not a lot of games where you can say, I bought this console to experience this particular game. That's only aside, I guess, from the Call of Duties, because from the court case with Xbox, we found out how many people actually just buy a PlayStation just to play the latest Call of Duty. What a fan base, right? What a fan base. And even they're having trouble this generation because Battlefield is doing so well, and they're doing so poorly. Falling to all these things, to social pressures, to investor pressures, to being profitable and just being a money-driven enterprise. There's few bright spots, right? Helldivers, Elden Ring, Death Stranding 2. What can we say for Xbox? Forza Horizon again? Sure. Okay, we can say it again. And Halo Infinite for a minute? Right? I mean, probably one of the games that I play the most is the one that that I'm playing so far, which is the Outer Worlds 2. I enjoyed the original Outer Worlds, right? I'm enjoying the Outer Worlds 2. But there's very few and far between, and of course they're not exclusive, right? And it's profit without passion. That really defines this generation. They've made the most revenue ever, but that's not a legacy. That is the legacy for the companies. It's great for the companies, not so much for the players. Investors are going to, the owners of these companies are like, man, we made the most money possible producing regurgitated stuff and slop, and we're not giving the best experience. And we're not even talking about the politics overplay and all the political influences that have ruined some of our favorite franchises for no reason other at all than for fake diversity, right? And I will call this out every time. It's fake diversity. If you're not actually hiring minorities to tell their stories, right? I want if you want to, help minorities, go get game developers from those countries, right? Don't give me a third, fourth, fifth generation Hispanic that has blue hair and and a nose ring. They don't know anything about the culture of Mexico because they never lived in Mexico, right? They'll say things like, "Oh, I love my culture." Well, what do you love about your culture? Oh, I love the cathedrals. I love the pueblos. I love this and that and the other. And everything they mention was produced by colonials. You love the food? Oh, great. Great. Some of the reasons we have great Mexican food is because the ports were hubs for commerce from different colonial countries mixing in with the recipes of the indigenous Indians. And it's delicious food. But they don't even know that, right? And so it's not about local developers in the U.S. not being able to produce these games. It's just they don't have the culture. I think it was, oh man, I forget the actor's name, but he was talking about it, saying, this person can direct this movie. He's a good director. This person can direct the other movie. Denzel Washington it was. And he was saying, an Italian can direct a Jewish movie. A Jewish director can direct an Italian movie. Or they can even direct a black movie. But it's about culture, because if you are from that culture, you know specific things that are endemic to it or part of it, and you can relate it to other people, right? It's different growing up Hispanic in the U.S. than growing Hispanic in Latin America. It's a different experience completely. They're two different stories. But you need to hire those people to tell the different stories, not hire one person, or farm it out to another country, farm it out to India, or farm it out somewhere else. They need to actually do the investing, and the poor storytelling that they make really reflects that. Now, how will history see this generation, right? They will see it as risk averse because they've made so many remakes. They're just repackaging crap and selling it to you at a higher price, over monetized with microtransaction battle passes and all this crap, creatively stalled because they've reused so many properties and again did so many remakes. And it's been financially successful, right? But culturally empty, right? When we got games from other countries back in these days, they were from those developers, and there was no filter. There was no, not great censorship to say, oh no, that we can't do this because even though in your culture it's okay, in our culture somebody might get offended. They didn't care about that stuff. They just put it out there. And those are some of the best games that we can remember because we know it's just a game. It's not real life. You didn't have an audience that was looking to be offended with everything so they can become social media stars. I think a lot of that has ruined, a lot of the experience that we're getting as gamers. So it's all these things, I think in later years when we look back at this generation historically, it's going to be but a footnote, of over promising, under delivering, of just walking away from the entertainment side of producing video games and just focusing on making money. Yeah, having a business is about making money. But if you're not going to produce a quality product that people can enjoy for a long time, then your time is going to be shortly built. And, what opportunity companies have right now with gamers being overall not that happy with what's going on to step in and build a new product. But, in these days, investors are looking at, I don't want to make hardware. It's all about software because I just want to make money. So the chances of us getting another console, another big player, are very slim. A lot of hopes right now are riding on Atari, who is slowly building back up. Hopefully in 10 years from now, they're able to put something out that will satisfy, that niche that a lot of people are looking for, that are not necessarily looking for the best graphics out there, which seems that these companies are obsessed with, but rather be obsessed with the best gameplay, right? The best games, the best writing, the best actors. That's what they should be focused on. And I really hope they do get it straight eventually. But, hopefully that this AI effect that is being felt throughout a bunch of industries that use memory helps them just stay with these machines, right? And try to produce better games for the Xbox Series X and for the PlayStation 5. Because if they're going to delay it a couple of years, which they should in order for production to catch up, so the consoles are not $1,000 plus, right? If you wait a couple of years and instead of, focusing on making the next console, focus on making better games for this generation before you move on to the next one, we might have something else to say about this generation. But so far, this is how I feel, and I don't think I'm the only one. You guys tell me, has this been a great generation in gaming, or have there been others? Are you looking forward to games coming out next year? Is there anything that you find redeemable about what video games companies are doing about, putting profits over creativity and stifling everything else? It's all about the bottom dollar, and they want every single one of your dollars. Yeah. I think that there's more fun to be had there. All right, humans. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to look at the extended opinion piece on this, you can go on the member section, 99 cents. Make sure you like and subscribe. Yeah, you got to subscribe, guys. Most people don't subscribe, and you made it this far, you might as well. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.